Hello and welcome back to the Chronicles of the Purple Knight. This is level 20. We finally made it into the epics and we are sitting atop the stairs leading to the imposing structure of the Kundarak bank. From this high vantage point we can see the ships in the harbour and all the rest of the Kundarak district sprawling out beneath us. So, quests that we've done to finish off the heroic. I did the full Wheloon chain. In the Sharn docks I did the Wheloon chain is level 16. In the Sharn docks the level 17 quests, members only, offshore account, finding Dorris and safety in numbers. I did the full druids chain, again level 17 in Eveningstar. That took me to the cap. And then beginning in epic we've done the whole of the Borderlands and the Snitch quest in Phiarlan. And that's where we are now. I've just told a small lie, I've forgotten to write it down, but we also did a couple in Deneith. Now then, the one where you put the market out of business, what's that called? I'll have to look this up. Let's have a look. The Black Loch, where you eventually end up on the boat, we did that one, and we did the Bargain of Blood. That's it. So we're in Kundarak now to do one of the level 21 quests. I was supposed to wait for a level 21, but it hasn't quite worked out that way. So plenty to get through other than the quests. Typical me, we're not using maximize at all, so I swapped that back out again and replaced it with what I'd originally chosen, which was mental toughness. For the level 20 feat we took spell focus evocation. I should probably have taken the conjuration because acid well is conjuration. In fact, I don't even have acid well on the bar here, do I? Although having said that, these two that I like to use for single target for bosses are both evocation, so maybe not. One of the problems I have, I run out of easy access fingers. I've already discarded more than one thing just because I didn't have room for it, in the keys I like to press to activate things. So here, things I'll press often. This is just my buff things which I mouse click through. But then we've got action boost, Reaper boost, another action boost, 2 big AoE spells. That's the dancing ball, which can still be very handy. The acid, well, I can't find an open space to put it at the moment. Number 1 and 2 for the big single target, Thunderstroke and Iceberg, and then the number pad. These are all is that a melee cleave? No, that's just a melee attack, but these three are all melee cleaves. So from this you'll deduce we've gone into the Fate Singer tree. I'll show you that and the rest of the stuff in a minute. And then we've got our 4 buffs. The time on these is beginning to get quite respectable now. We've got 4 minutes on the extended haste and displacement, which is nice, and about 3 minutes on the death aura, I think, or 2 minutes 48. And then we've got our radiant force field from the Eldritch Knight tree. So yeah, I don't rightly know. I suppose the meteor swarm being force and fire fits a bit more into the theme of the thing. Now we're using the fire imbue with our new weapon, so I might as well, as I've linked to it, I might as well go into that for the gear. So meet Zoom, our epic weapon. I've put at the bottom, as you can see, a couple of filigrees in. I had to start it from scratch. I didn't have a spare gem with any XP on it, so I put a gem of the, is it Hopeful or something, in there. That's right, it says at the top, and fed it a few little bits and pieces I had lying around, which was just enough to get 2 slots open, which is nice because I put 2 reverberation in to get 2 more imbue dice. And also the bits I put in are giving me a bit more spell power and more PRR and MRR, so that's nice too. The weapon itself is nice. We can see there we've got oh, we can if it stops. So we're critting now on a 15 to 20, which is quite important because this 4th tier we've now got in the Pale Master tree, that thing at the bottom, Vorpal melee hits cause energy drain, it actually is critical melee hits. So every time we crit with that falchion, which is every one hitting 4, we give a negative level to the opponent, so that's nice. Otherwise there's some nice fiery stuff on there. Again, there's some extra damage there linked to a critical hit, and as we're doing plenty of those, we will be getting good use out of that. 2 slots at the bottom, so I put a Ruby of Shock for a bit more damage on every hit, and a Diamond of Spellcraft because I've replaced the trinket that we had, which had spell sight on it. So this is with the melee side of things in mind. I became acutely aware of the fact that we had nothing with accuracy on, having sort of skewed the gear towards the melee side of things. Sorry, the caster side of things with the caster set. And accuracy is quite important, well, very important, I think. So we've got accuracy and insightful accuracy there, which is very nice. We've actually got, that I hadn't noticed there, a Diamond of Intelligence 9, which is super nice for us. Armor piercing, bypass fortification, that's nice. And crippling only works for ranged weapons, as somebody reminded me on a I think, didn't we, way back when, didn't we use the heroic version of this, and one of you pointed out eventually that the crippling only worked on range stuff, and that's why I wasn't seeing it triggering. So that's a nice weapon to offset the fact we've no accuracy, or we had no accuracy item. These salt marsh epic items, you can see on the bottom there's a nice set bonus relating to them if you can slot 5, which we won't be doing, but they are very, very easy to acquire. I think you just put the heroic item and 50 of those salt marsh hay in with in on the epic altar that I showed in that video when we upgraded the zoom itself that we got from the sands. I think that's all you do, and they're readily available, this stuff. Some of them you can get just by going around the salt marsh wilderness area, and it's good gear with a nice set bonus attached. So if you've got somebody who's going regularly through epics with a similar build and you want to make some gear out for them, available from 20, this stuff is very good. The other stuff I could recommend, as I mentioned, I've done the Borderlands. There's a whole host of level 21 stuff which is super competitive. It's so competitive I can't actually find it. I'd saved a ring. Oh, that's one example. So if you were a wisdom based, insightful and quality wisdom, physical resistance, false life, all very nice. But it's not the one I was looking for. The one I was looking for, this, I've saved it. So intelligence 10, spell saves 8, profane 1, so that's effectively intelligence 11, and a stacking bonus to health as well. So I was hoping to, plus this one has a 3 on melee power and spell power, I was hoping to slot that in when we hit 21, get rid of this thing. We'd be probably about the same health wise, and we'd be losing the force critical chance, which is unfortunate. But I think, actually I don't know, because we've just realised we have a intelligence 9 in there, so maybe not, maybe I should leave that alone. But it's just to illustrate anyway. That's a nice really competitive item for the level 21, and there's a whole host of those in those Borderlands quests which are very quick to complete, easily farmable on elite by a capped legendary character. So those are the only 2 items I've actually changed, the weapon and the trinket. If you'll recall, we had a acid oriented trinket before, so we're swapping to fire spell power because the zoom weapon comes with combustion 111, so our fire spell power now is the best one we have, not too shabby at 404. And once we get going with the boosts and things that we have, that's probably going to be up towards 500 in many cases. Let's show you the Reaper enhancements. Haven't changed. I did get 1 Reaper point towards the back end of the heroic time. I added that in to give us an extra point on dodge and 10 more hit points, which are always nice. So let's have a look where the enhancements ended up. These 2 are still the same. So we got the final core in the Eldritch Knight, which was always going to be the case. That's pretty much how I've been playing purple, at least so far, through these lives that I've videoed. It's always been max out the tree that the build is kind of focused in. So in the previous life Blightcaster, and in this one Eldritch Knight. So here we've got more imbue dice, more intelligence and con, double strike, universal spell power, all great stuff. And then you'll see at the top there we get a nice little power boost for 30 seconds when we've used Eldritch Strike 5 times. So all the more reason, as if we didn't have enough already with the goodies up here relating to Eldritch Strike, to just keep that thing on cooldown all the time. It just needs to be used constantly, and the nice thing is you just forget about it, because in using it all this stuff just activates anyway. You don't have to do anything. So that's that, just one more point in there. So as mentioned, I've built back up in here. I can totally understand why people take this, why people max out the Pale Master instead and go for the capstone here, because the healing from the standard death aura is lacking. As soon as you hit epics, you start taking some heavy hits in the melee, especially because as you can see, our defences are weak. Our armour class is non-existent, the defences are weak, so we are going to get hammered. So the idea is to try and kill or hold as much as we possibly can to avoid being hit and to dish out damage. But in the instances where we can't manage that, or my poor play doesn't allow for that, we are getting an absolute hiding. So I can totally understand why people would want this. And the other thing is, one of you mentioned is it Master of Negative that's possible to take at level 24 that can boost this neg energy burst up 10 levels. I can totally understand why that now as well, because that's distinctly lacking. It's nothing like, you know, when you kick on a big heal spell or something like that. There just isn't the big oomph and the bar goes flying up. Nothing like that at all. So at the moment we are really vulnerable to big chunks of health being removed, because we just can't recover it in combat quickly enough. So I must remember at 24 to experiment at least with that Master of Negative, because the lack of a big burst heal is proving problematic. So otherwise, boosting up the neg crit chance for the ticking aura. We are up to, where are we? 29 on negative. And the fire doesn't really matter, does it? Apart from for the meteor storm. Intelligence 54 for the DC, that's reasonably respectable. In Reaper mode, we're up to, I think we're up not far short of 60 on the hold monster mass save, which for early epic is respectable, I think. So yes, extra intelligence there, neg crit chance, all the neg heal amp that I could take, 10 more hit points. If I had more points to invest here, we could have a few more hit points there. And just with a point to one side, 5 force and 5 universal spell power with the little cat. So that's the enhancements. The epic destinies I experimented, as I said I was going to at the start, with the Magus. And the only thing that really interested me in there, early on anyway, was the aura. And I don't know, maybe it was just me, maybe it was the opponents I was facing. I just couldn't seem to get too much mileage out of it. So I'm sort of in the experimenting stage at the moment. Draconic was recommended for the imbues, among other things. So that's in the pipeline, I think, because there are some other half decent things in there, more on the spell side than for melee. You'll have to excuse the little dog. He's asleep in his basket and he's kind of sleep barking or whatever you call it, so you might hear that. So if we're not doing Magus, one of you mentioned Dreadnought. Now there is some action boost related stuff in here. It's obviously melee power, hit points, which are great for us. More hit points there. So, and I did notice here there's an imbue dice too. So at least short term that could be a good one. There's attack and damage with all weapons, and here 15 PRR for a build that's just got such a crappy PRR. That would be nice too. So that could be worth investing some points in. And the main one of the moment is the Fate Singer. I'm quite liking the epic strike, and then the cleave attack that sort of follows on from it. we're using the mantle. Now this mantle and grandeur are both triggered by the death aura that we have. You see, it just went off when I casted it, but if you just watch now, you'll see it can only go off at minimum 10-second intervals. There you go. And whenever that triggers, that's giving us 100 plus temporary hit points, which is a nice little buffer that we didn't have before. And I don't need to do anything to get that other than to keep this death aura ticking. And the other thing the death aura is doing, you'll notice our PRR has jumped up 6 because that grandeur friendly spells, armor class is neither here nor there, it's still crap, but the 6 PRR isn't terrible. Obviously if I was spending 2 points, 1 point to get 3 PRR, that's not amazing, is it? But it's going to get us towards the next things in the tree. I think there's 1 point there for 2 MRR, isn't there? I think our MRR is almost at the cap anyway, so yeah, we have a 60 MRR cap. I think there's a 10 extra for the gear that we're wearing, is that right? Yes. So that's not terrible. So the death aura counts as a friendly spell and keeps triggering that grandeur, giving us 6 more PRR. So that's where we're at the moment. So the plan usually, especially as we now have more mana, a bit more from the mental toughness, and it is noticeable when you jump into epics and suddenly each lost soul is 200 plus mana regained. So that's nice too, and it gives you a bit more freedom to throw some spells around. The plan when things are holdable, i.e. not undead or plants or whatever, is to use either the mass hold or the disco ball and set about things with these nice cleaves that we have. When that's not the case, I have to lean more on the Tempest and Meteor Swarm. Speaking of the meteors, I read something in the past that when you quickened it, you can, there's a bit of a bug or something and you can lose a meteor, and it seems to be the case. So I've removed quicken from that. I'd be interested to hear from any of you who've got experience with that and how we might go about solving it, because I would prefer it to be quickened. I don't mind paying the 10 extra points for it, but I do mind losing my 1 rock. And of course that's throwable from double distance, isn't it? Yeah, double range. Now that's just crazy, isn't it? I always think of these sort of ray type spells being double range, you know, like Salt Ray on the druid. Not this hugely damaging. I've never tried it. I haven't played a sorcerer for a very long time, but I'm just imagining somebody with enlarged meta magic doing the mass hold from a distance beyond which the opponents can see you, holding a pack of things that haven't even seen you, and then just annihilating them with this meteor thing before they've even taken stock of your presence. It's almost trivializing quite a lot of content, isn't it, that? Right. So that was the epic destinies. We did the feats. We've done the quests. I think that just about does it. So let's go and see what we can do in the quest here. It's a level 21. I was wanting to do a 20, but I don't think there are any 20s left that I would like to do. Actually, there is one in Phiarlan. The small problem with the brawn pits, but I've never been aware of a way that around the fail condition at the end, you know, where when the NPC dies, the quest fails. Apparently, there is a way to get around that. If one of you would be kind enough to explain that to me, so I can reintegrate that quest into my playthroughs, that would be lovely. I'm just not a fan of going through to the end of a quest and, through not very much fault of my own, having the NPC die, and it's right at the end as well. If it was at the start, that might make a difference, but you have to do everything again. Otherwise, I'm quite a fan of that small problem. And for any of you who's just listened to that 1 minute of waffle, you'll be acutely aware that I'm not capable of talking and doing the quest at the same time. That's something that the members of the Bear Party are very aware of. Whenever somebody asks me any advice or just a question generally about the game, my character stops mid-quest. It's like, can't you talk and move?
That was fun. I look forward to working with you in the future.
So yeah, we're enjoying a nice long duration on these buffs, these short-term buffs with the extend on.
Like the underground highway to Tharashk Arena. If you search for Dirge's contact.
I don't use rage in and amongst those because we're not strength based, it's all intelligence. Nice cleaves going there. Now then, where's the nasty bugger? There he is. Did we? No, we didn't stop him. Oh, crud. So how am I going to deal with that? Can I don't suppose I can just kill him outright, can I? No. This is going to be a problem. So yes, for things immune to my holds, immediately there's a problem. I think you folks are going to tell me again that that was a red boss, so he's not able to be crowd controlled. I get confused between the red boss and the so-called orange boss, so sometimes it's a pleasant surprise when I try and can sometimes instant kill one of these orange boss. They seem to look the same to me.
Guarded by a well-groomed bugbear and a host of trollish enforcers. Monstrous spectators pack the stands, eager for the main event. A few growl and curse as they catch sight of you.
So the enchant side of things is working really nicely. So yeah, 61, that's with the temporary boost from the Eldritch Strike thing going, which I think is more than respectable for early epic. Oof, did you see that? Took 2/3 of my health on one hit. That was a red crown crit. Straight through the fortification and all that. So let's wait until we're deemed to be out of combat and then try the heal. So outside of combat, when the Reaper penalty isn't applied, that's fine. But in combat, it's doing nothing like that, unfortunately. Fire should be doing very nicely against the trolls and these. Yes, the only time I've ever used these Fate Singer things before, well, unsurprisingly, is when I was doing my Bard lives. And I quite enjoyed it. It was obviously the caster variation. Did I get? Yeah, caster variation of it. But they're on the little ones on a short cooldown, and then you get the big booming thing when you've built up 3 stacks. I quite like that. It works quite nicely.
That was fun. I look forward to working with you in the future.
Yeah, as much as anything else, it's an exercise in remembering to keep going all the nice things that you've got access to. You can see how often the neg level thing is triggering. Every time it does that sort of black spiral effect, that's the negative level thing. Right on cue.
Words etched above this gate.
Hoping they're all going to come marching out into this thing.
Scarred and muscular trolls wait restlessly.
Finger of Death as well is working very nicely still against the sort of outlying rangers and casters. And that's on a 53, that's not terrible for early epic. Not amazing, but against casters and rangers with low fort saves, it should still be workable. You can get a 2 bonus in the Pale Master tree for when you trigger your Eldritch Strike, like I've taken the enchantment version. You can get the Necromancy version as well, but I don't use it enough to deem it worthwhile. Try and fight from within the security of our Now what do we do about the red thing there? First of all, is he classed as red or orange? I have no idea. I'm guessing he's red. So let's try the old single target damages there. Iceberg, Thunderstroke, that's more like it. Crikey, he's back to full health, that's not good. Finally. So yeah, single target damage not exactly his forte, is it? as with any caster or any AoE melee, I guess.
Their luck has run out. The hordes of fury and the Maelstrom princes have slain hundreds of their kind.
This should be the shortest fight we've ever seen.
To watch those spell points. Nobody's left me a soul in here, I can't believe it. Oh! Oof, hell. Who did that? You. I couldn't hold him, but I could kill him. So you can see there the problem I have. One decent hit and I'm down like below half on the health bar, which is not ideal.
Fighters from all 4 teams have armed themselves. Their horns are sharpened and their weapons are drawn. Our brave fighters are entering the arena. The battle is on.
Put a disco ball up here, perhaps. Oh, and now for the fun bit. Now we're going to be on mana conservation here, aren't we? So, no big single target spells. Oh, charming. He disappears just as I did my big Eldritch Tempest. And he's going to reappear on full health. Moan, moan, moan. Oh, he's done it again. Oh no, he hasn't. He didn't avoid the blast, I don't think. Okay.
The Stormwatch team has spilled a secret today, but it has not yet sailed to victory.
So we've got 2 of our nice buffs left.
There remains one warrior with the
Death Aura. No, the angles. I need to make more use of this as well instead of just using it at the end, the Radiant Force Field. That could help against those big chunking hits. Can we hold those things? Of course I forgot to trigger my nice buffs, why wouldn't I? Oh, no more spell points. Crud. Now that's one of the nicer sides of the Eldritch Knight. He has, what does it, I don't think that takes any spell point. Oh, Christ! Oh, this could be a problem. This could be a real problem. Can we get out of here? I can't DDO, can I? just stay away from that thing while we heal a bit. Thank you. My God, I'd completely forgotten about those that pop up at the end. Don't we get a... Oh, we do get an epic chest if we actually bother to go and complete the quest. I was going to DDO out having not completed the quest. That's ample illustration, if ever you needed it, of my complete incompetence in the field. Perhaps a good illustration as well of the strengths and the weaknesses of the build. The sword strikes are half decent, the AoE spells are not bad, probably underused. The crowd control is decent, it's extremely squishy, and the thing to mitigate that a lot would have been to put the points into the skeleton, to have that thing, you know, distracting attention from me. And if you put 6 points, is it 6 points in? Yes, 6 points I could have had a 15 profane bonus to PRR, which would have been very nice, and the knight would have had various other bonuses too. I just don't like it wandering around and attacking things when I don't want it to, and cluttering up the thing. So just not for me. But I've made it a lot harder than it needed to be, that's for sure. But a win is a win, eh? I will take that. So, we're not far off 21 now, are we? I think I'll probably do the rest of this chain, and then the spies in the house, and then maybe we'll make a start on the Eveningstar 1 chain, which is also a 21. So plenty for us to get our teeth into at these lower levels. I always try, I know it sounds obvious, but I always try and match up my level more or less to the content that I'm running, so I'm not struggling my way through you know, a 24 or a 25 immediately on entering Epic. If you're in a group, of course, you can totally get away with that, but when you're trying to solo, it's probably better to stick to things around your level, which I think just stands to reason, doesn't it? Right, more than enough waffle already, so hopefully that was okay for you. I'll speak to you in the next one. Thank you very much as always for looking. Take care.